know it forever. So welcome to our Open Roundtable. It's been heavily edited. This is probably 5 minutes into the show, so we've spared you all the outtakes. First order of business is, I guess we're going to talk about releases. Is that correct?
Yeah, releases. It looks like Tilo might win it, so I'll at least click the. How do we get Tilo in? If I don't know. Hey, yeah, Tilo, if you're watching, and I'll let you take care of it.
I'm going to send you an invite from here and see what happens.
Okay. Off to a great start with this hangout. So, anyways, yeah, while he's doing that, releases. We have 2 releases that came out over the last week. So 2 YUI releases at least. YUI 10. Now that we're at 10, I always get it confused. 3.10.2 and 3.10.3. So 3.10.2 was kind of the big release at the conclusion of our last sprint cycle. That let's see what went into that. Just a lot of random bug fixes.
Yeah, a lot of this is a result. We've had a lot of big features landing recently, so we spent some time going back through and doing a lot of house cleaning, that kind of thing. So working on, we had worked on things with the build. We worked on checking, for instance, I think Satyen did some fixes for event, right? That were that popped in.
Also, Tilo wants to get in.
Yeah, Tony, can you send Tilo the URL?
Yeah, that would be awesome. Just ping in the URL you're at right now.
To the Hangout.
Yeah. Anyways, a ton of test fixes. Basically, I think we mentioned a few weeks ago, we are now onboarding a lot more environments into CI. So that led to some false positives, at least for some tests that were a little bit flaky. So we went through and resolved a bunch of those issues. Anyways, you can find all the release notes on YUIblog.com.
Welcome, Tilo.
Yes.
I was listening to you.
And then 3.10.3 was just you should actually skip 10.2 and go straight to 10.3. That was also released as a quick follow-up patch to resolve a security bug that was reintroduced. That was resolved in 3.10.1. So, anyways, just go straight to 10.3, and you can read all the updates on the blog. The other release that we had this week was.
Can you get in? Sorry.
I haven't gotten any.
Okay.
If you want to send me the link.
The other release we had this week was Pure. So, Tilo, did you want to talk about any of the new updates that were in Pure?
Sure. So Eric and I launched Pure, or released Pure version 0.2, which is the first release we've had since launch, and it's been 2 weeks. So we're trying to stay on a 2-week release cycle, but that might fluctuate a bit, especially now, given that Eric and I are taking some time off. Pure 0.2 basically addresses some concerns, just fixes up and cleans up stuff that wasn't cleaned up prior to the release. We got a lot of feedback from the community regarding accessibility, so we went in and fixed a lot of the accessibility issues, namely adding focus rules wherever we had hover rules, so that and making it easy, fixing some keyboard tabbing issues that we had. In addition to that, there were some pull requests that were merged in from a bunch of people in the community to fix some stuff in forms and buttons. All the release notes can be found on purecss.io. You can click on the little updates link on the menu bar, and that'll show you everything. Eric did a lot of work improving developer workflow and tooling. Specifically, he added a watch task to Grunt so that you can watch and build, so that Pure builds while you're developing. He added we have CSS lint tests that are run automatically, and then those are integrated into Travis, so that all pull requests are CSS linted. And I know, I'm sure I'm missing something. We also added a contributing.md so that it's clear what the contributing guidelines are. So there's a bunch of stuff that went out. The next release of Pure, which is going to be 0.3, probably is going to address grids. We're going to be probably revamping some of the grid system, possibly making a mobile-first grid, and we have some other ideas, but we'll talk about that on GitHub probably.
You also updated the site, right? You added like a sort of blog kind of style page and things.
Yeah, so long term we were thinking about using Tumblr as our blog, but until that's all set up, we are just using our site as a little blog. So you can go to purecss.io/updates or click the updates link, and that's like our temporary blog for now.
Cool. What's been the response so far since for zero
Um,
two?
Pretty good. I think we've gone up in like 200 stars since released 0.2. So I think we're at almost 3,600 now, which is good.
How long did it take to clobber YUI's star list? Is it like a 2 days?
Yeah, I think it took like 4 days. There's I'm sure everyone already knows this, but there's this really intense discussion going on a pure CSS issue about preprocessors. So you should definitely go in and read that. I think it's pretty interesting and entertaining, and it's getting pretty heated. I think I'm gonna go post on that again later today.
Where is that in the GitHub issues?
Yeah, in GitHub issues, there's a discussion on what should Pure use a preprocessor, and if so, what should it use? And
Wouldn't that make it impure?
Hero.
well, no, because Pure like okay, I'm biased. I'm not even gonna say anything because you guys, I'm just biased. So
Yeah.
no.
I think the cool thing is it's an open source project, and anyone who wants to can contribute new stuff. So, I mean, I saw didn't someone create a template for what's the one that's posted for YY Weekly this week? The template generator for
Oh, Yeoman.
yeah, for Yeoman, yeah.
Yeah, it's been really good to see some of that stuff. I saw Yeoman generator. Someone made some gem to work with Pure and Ruby on Rails. There's some guy who's already forked Pure and is trying to put it into like you make it work with Sass. So yeah, there's a bunch of cool like stuff coming around. There's actually some person who emailed me on my inbox and said, "Oh, I want to make a WordPress theme using Pure. Do you pay for freelancing?" And I didn't know what to say, so I haven't replied back yet. So
No, freelancing for free.
yeah, that's probably what I'll say. But yeah, it's cool to see.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, congrats on the 020 launch. So.
Thanks.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what's coming up next, like you mentioned already. So what was next on our
data table?
All right, Tony.
Yeah, so
Give us a little background. I think I know a lot of people may know what's going on, but just a little background on where data table is right now.
yeah, so the data table's been kind of in a hiatus standpoint for a while. After Luke Smith left, it wasn't really touched, and then I started hiddling with it, I guess is a good word, at the beginning of this year, and I decided that getting Paginator out would be the best thing to do first. So Paginator ended up taking on a life of its own. That's now checked into Dev 3x and should be out in our next in 3.11.0 whenever that comes out, and then data table Paginator is hot on the heels of that. I'm currently writing the test for it, and hopefully get that out tomorrow or the end of next week.
Is there anything you can show demo-wise, or?
It's not pretty, but I can show you something.
Yeah, show us something. We like pretty pictures, or even unpretty pictures.
Yeah, it's definitely unpretty.
Like, so can you describe what Paginator actually does? Like, a lot of us will know, it goes from one frame to the next, but.
Yeah, so one thing that Paginator does is that it's basically an abstracted model that it can be mixed into a model if you want to use a model view structure. It can be mixed into a widget, but it's really low level, and it just stores the current page you're on versus the number of pages that you have total and the total number of items that you have. So there's a couple of things that you have to do, that you have to set whenever you first set it up. And we can take a look at Paginator real quick.
Yeah, just share your desktop. think there should be a name for that moment when you share your desktop and it's looking at the video and you get that tunnel. I'm going to lock you in for the time being.
Are you sharing? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say.
You can bump that up a little bit, font-wise.
There we go.
Placeholder.
Yep.
All right. For okay, that'll work. So for paginator, we've got a couple of different images that are just getting swapped in and out. This is one of the examples.
Mm-hmm.
And it's saying that the tests have failed. I've got to change that color. But I haven't really written the tests for the examples. I have no problem going through the couple of browsers and doing whenever we do a PR and doing a test fest on just paginator. And then, so this right here we'll go through. This is just using HTML. It's not actually a data table. But using this mockup, I was able to create this that's actually running on a data table. And we have two different locations for the paginator, one in the header and one in the footer.
Could you bump the font up? You could possibly. We can see it because we have a giant screen, but there you go.
So this, whenever we go through the first, previous, next, and last on the top one, it will update the bottom one because it's using one model together. Right. And then, so if we go to page 4 and hit update, it updates there. If we update this, then we can see that it updates the bottom.
Oh, cool.
At the same time. And then we can toggle it on and off.
So this is the most requested feature for data table, right? That was one.
Yeah. Currently, whenever about 2 months ago, we sent out the survey link or the SurveyMonkey form to get the results back for that, and that's actually being reflected over here in the data table roadmap on the Trello board. So currently, how this works is that in 3x, whenever this gets shipped, or once paginator is done, I'll be moving that over there, which will be awesome. Performance improvements are always ongoing, so that's just kind of, it's always going to be something that's there. Then the next step, we've got keyboard navigation, inline cell editing, hiding and showing columns, data types, and then later on, this is the order that things were in on the results for the SurveyMonkey link.
Right.
If there's anything in here that you wish to change, feel free to come in and upvote it, like this checkbox select column. And then this batch renderer, which was the render loop in YUI 2. I just had a conversation today with the team, and they said that was a big feature for them. And so if it was a big feature for them, then I have no problem adding something to get that working in YUI 3.
Right. So just to let people know, Trello is a way to sort of track tasks and things like this. So if you and this is a public Trello to reflect what Tony's doing for data tables. So you can see, sort of read it from right to left. The right is the done, and as you go further left, the farther out the lower priority the tasks are. So that's sort of how you can do it.
Yeah, and if you have any design document discussions that you would like to start or contribute to, if you click on this All Documents and then go to the Google Drive page, currently there's only one right now for column resize, but you can add any document in here that you want to, and add, we can carry on multiple discussions and be able to keep the conversation going for any of these topics that are coming up. For, say, something like inline cell editor. That's something that Satyam has already has out and is currently working on. Maybe it's already in a full-fledged pull request right now.
Very cool.
But yeah, that's some of the big stuff. One of the the stuff with paginator that it ends up being. Let's take a look at this one because it's kind of easy to follow. But the way paginator is working under the hood, we just create a new paginator, and this is using paginator itself, so it's using a widget. But if you just want the paginator core, which is what data table is doing, then that comes in to here, and paginator core is being used, and then it's being mixed into a model right off the bat, and that's all that it takes to have paginator as mixed into a model, or to create a model from paginator core. So it makes it really easy, and it makes it really flexible. There's hardly any code going behind the scenes as far as this is concerned with this UI versus this UI.
Does it do any caching or like pre-caching ahead of time, or is it just loaded on the fly? Like
It's loaded on the fly for all of these. They're actually pretty dynamic as far as the content that's being loaded in, but there's also the idea of progressive enhancement that's coming into play with this, where all the images are loaded onto the page first, and then the paginator comes in and turns it into a slideshow.
Oh, I see.
And so this is one of the things where like this is the code that comes into play, or the markup that's on the screen at whenever it first loads.
Is it mobile accessible too? Like, does it have touch events and things, or is it?
Yeah, the touch events should be loaded automatically. That's something that you generally get in for free with YUI. I haven't tested directly with a touch device, but I'd be happy to do that if we run into any issues with it. This one actually goes out and does a search with Flickr.
Do you think in the future it may like work with scroll view as well? Like you'll be able to flick and paginator will update and things like that?
I would like to think so. That's something I'll let Derek talk about, but
Yeah.
I would like to think that would be the case.
Mesh together somehow.
Yeah, we discussed it yesterday. Me and Tony did. So it would be good to have that. It would be good to have those two merge, and I don't see any major roadblocks or something that would prevent paginator from working inside of scroll view. Data table's current state, at least before Tony picked up and started working with it some more, it's kind of in a hiatus. No active development going on except for some maintenance stuff here and there. It seems like those two could mesh really well together.
Yeah,
But
plus even with events, right? You can hook it up through events
Right.
and stuff.
Yeah, just need somebody to pick up and run with it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks, Tony.
Yeah.
You have what's next?
So next up, so the development schedule. So we are now on Sprint 8, which began on June 10th, so a couple days ago, and it will result in a release on. Are we locked on? I think we're locked on Tony.
Let's unlock Tony. There we go.
Yeah. So anyways, we're currently in Sprint 8, which began a couple days ago, and ends in a release on July 16th. So I guess we don't know at this point whether that'll be a Y or a Z release. Basically, either 3.11 or 3.10. Well, currently it would be 4, but who knows? We might have a unscheduled release in the meantime. So really, the only dates aside from the release date, the only other dates that are important are June 30th, which is code freeze. And then July 9th, which is commit freeze. So code freeze is basically the end of all new feature development and end of all new feature development, and then commit freeze is the end of all bug submissions. So those are at least for the pull request deadlines. So that's it for Sprint 8.
Cool. I think we jumped the gun on demos, though. We had another demo that we wanted to
Oh yeah,
Is that
I
correct?
can do a demo. Yeah.
So Pat has been working on some web RTC stuff.
A spinning YUI logo.
Yes.
That's his internship. Is just to do.
It's spinning logo.
It's all
Is this
all
gonna
downhill from here.
Yeah, I'll just do it quickly.
There's power.
Oh yeah. Here.
Okay.
Oh,
That might work.
we'll see.
Perhaps.
That's as far as you're gonna get.
Perfect. Now,
All right. So yeah,
Click. Lock it.
one of the projects that I'm working on during my internship is integrating some WebRTC stuff with YUI, making a library to make it a little bit easier to use it. So I've been messing around with it. I got a little prototype working. So I basically have a little basically Skype working with just HTML5. I can try to do a demo right now. I'll send you a link, and then hopefully it'll work. It works outside of this room, so
I'm on
if it doesn't
YY
work,
engineering, so
oh yeah, okay, it's good.
what he's going to do, basically, our WebRTC is a way to establish a peer-to-peer connection with two browsers after some negotiation through a third party. And my screen's on. You can see
Your
me.
screen's on, and then it's not working. Okay. Well, in theory, we would have been able to see him.
Yeah.
But I can do it with myself.
Yes,
try
just showed
that.
that.
All right, so there's me streaming with myself right now.
Maybe
So
there's some firewall thing
Yeah.
going on.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it worked out there with Rashad and stuff. So I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
I can see myself. That was,
Yeah. Anyway, so basically, for those who don't know what WebRTC is, WebRTC allows peer-to-peer connection between two browsers. So that can have some pretty powerful effects. You can obviously, what I'm doing right now is peer-to-peer video sharing and audio sharing. So you could have a Skype or Hangout-like environment with just HTML5. And so yeah, I would like to make it a little bit easier for people to do that. There's some libraries out there already, but I think I can make it a little bit better. So how in depth should I go? Should I because I can do what I did in
Yeah. How about let's do it like maybe next week. And we're gonna unlock it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like, how about maybe next week we can do a
Yeah.
little bit more in depth because there's certainly some stuff with WebRTC that
Yeah.
I'd like to learn too.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, we can sort of feature it at the beginning.
Yeah, and I can
Give you a
actually
chance to-
work out the bugs and stuff with this.
Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that actually goes into making it work initially. So if I can get that away from people and actually people can actually start using it without having to worry about the stuff that shouldn't have to matter.
Yeah.
So that would be cool. The next step after getting the video and audio nice and working is working with what's called the data channel. So we can send arbitrary data like files or like a game status or something like that through this data channel, and then that'll allow peer-to-peer data sending that's not just media, which would be cool.
Yeah.
So,
And this will manifest itself as a YY.
yeah. So
Gallery
the
set.
end goal is to make this a YUI module, probably in the gallery, and then we'll see where it goes from there. And then after I get all this done, which is going to take a while, I mean, it's after making the module and all that, that's the tests and everything. So there's a whole process that needs to be done before I can actually go and hopefully make some more higher level stuff. And I'm still working on the thinking behind that, but so hopefully it'll be cool, and then we'll see where it goes.
Cool. Yeah. It seems like WebRTC is certainly would introduce some pretty disruptive things.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully, will not suffer the same kind of fate of. When I think back to the rise and launch of WebSockets, I was like, oh man, this is going to be huge, but it just ran into so many speed bumps trying to get that out and implement it that it kind of killed the excitement a little bit, and people have kind of, I don't know, maybe.
Well, there's like this hype graph, where it's like the hype is really high, but the implementation is low.
Yeah.
And when the hype starts dropping down, then things really kick in because browsers finally catch up. So like WebSockets is still out there and people are using it. It's just not, it's
The problem was that people were doing so many cool things with it, and then there was just the instability in the spec, and then they yanked it out of the browsers, and then I think that kind of deflated some of the hype around it. So,
and it's interesting because a lot of the WebRTC implementations, what part of the WebRTC implementation that you need to do to get WebRTC to work is to get what's called the signaler to work on the actual server, and that controls like the clients and the connections between the clients, disconnects them or connects them, whatever. And a lot of implementations actually use WebSockets to do that because it's convenient to be able to have a two-way communication with the browser itself while passing along all the data that needs to be passed along. But what's also cool is that you don't have to use WebSockets. You could literally do HTTP requests back and forth. The only thing is you would have to have some polling going on in order to check for updates and all that.
Ping the URLs in IRC. Well, I think there's a difference now between maybe in the past that gaming on the web is like really taking off. So there's a big need from big companies to have this kind of technology with video and like sending data back and forth, multiplayer games and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think there's more of an industry push for it.
It'll definitely evolve as the web evolves, and with OpenGL and all that that's starting to be implemented with HTML5, it's all going to evolve around each other. So
it's cool that YUI is going to be in there.
Yes.
So if you get this going, then this helps. Like, you build some really cool implementation, and people will do that, and they use it, and they go, "Oh, what's this stuff behind the scenes?" And
and then you start building usage, and then it actually hopefully will stay up there, and not just be thrown down like WebSockets is at the moment. Yeah, I don't see very many WebSockets.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly has. There's a lot of usefulness. We use it quite a bit on, like, for Yeti for all of our cross-browser testing stuff. I mean, so it's kind of utilities like that, but a lot of the really cool stuff that popped up at the beginning, I don't know. Yeah, you just don't see many large projects and really a lot of cool uses out of it.
Yeah, it's kind of a solution search for a problem.
Yeah. So cool. Well, I look forward to learning more about WebRTC.
And I vow to say cool no more in this meeting.
Cool.
Cool.
So in the Open Roundtable, in the schedule, we went through demos, we've got discussion QA, now we've got review stuff. And first up for that is the up for grabs bugs. And if you want to know what an up for grabs bug is, I refer you to a previous Open Roundtable, which has described them at length.
Yeah.
So we can do a redirect for that.
2 weeks ago, I believe.
Yeah, 2 weeks, because last week we fell into a black hole and we're not able to broadcast. But basically, these are issues. If you go to the Open Roundtable wiki page, which is on GitHub through YY3, these issues that are listed here have the tag up for grabs, and they have been listed by various developers as bugs that are worthy of being fixed, but either they don't have time or they think that people who are just starting off the project would learn a lot from those. So they are, how many are there now? There are 9 of those?
Do we have any new ones? 9 days ago. So we do have one new one that we weren't able to cover last week. What is this?
I think I did that. I'm not sure. Is it a
F21?
Allow transition n to be fired only once when using transition on a node list.
Oh, no, that's not mine.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be Matt's.
Yeah, it looks like some new person, whoever F21 is.
Cool. So yeah, issue 832 is one that's up for grabs.
Yep.
If anybody wants to take it.
Oh, I missed the demo section. Did you want me to quickly demo the grid stuff that I was showing earlier today?
Yes. Let's go for it.
Okay, cool. This is only going to take a minute or two.
Cool.
So I've been working on, well, I haven't really working on it. I just kind of came up with it on my way home. This new sort of declarative grid approach that builds on top of YUI grids. So currently, if you use the current version of responsive grids at YUI, you get something where you might have like 4 columns like this, but then if you shrink your screen, you're just going to get to like a collapsed like 100% width, and you're just going to get 4 rows. And it always bugged me because I wanted something in the middle. So I made this this new grid system, I guess, which lets you specify different breakpoints. So here you can see this 4 columns going into 2 rows of 2 columns, and then into like one like 100% widths, basically what happens now. But this system is actually very flexible. So here you have, and it's also mobile first. So here you have 100% widths on small screens, but you can make it so that one of them stays 100%, the other ones become like 1/3, and like a tablet display. But then on a larger display, you can make it. Oh, actually, sorry. This one stays steady. This one stays steady. This one, the third one here, is. Oh, so this one is actually 25% on mobile displays, and then when you make it larger, one of them becomes 100%, and then these become 1/3, and then when you make it larger, it flips around, and the last one becomes 100%, and these ones become 1/3. And then another common one is, let's say if you have like 8 1/8, it can like shrink down to rows of 4ths, and then you can do whatever you want. So here I have like halves, 4ths, and halves. So the way this all works, let me just pull this up.
Bump up the font a little.
Yep, I'll pull it up here. Can you see this, or should I bump this up? Okay, right.
That's good.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. So the way this works is, I changed around the class names here. Instead of having a pure G and a pure GR, you can just have a pure grid, and essentially you specify class names for different media queries. So in the grid CSS file, by default you have .sm, which stands for small. So you can specify a class name such as .sm1, and that thing will be 100% width, right? If you want it to do something different at another media query, you can specify that change. So this is saying on small screens be 100%, on medium screens be 50%, and on large screens be 1/4, right? But if I didn't want this to change from medium to large, I could just take that out, and I could also take that out, and it would only be 100% everywhere. And so the way these are defined, these mediums and larges are inside media queries. So something like this. So the mediums are defined inside a media query of at least 480 pixels. So that's like a little bigger than it should actually be 481, because it should be a little bigger than an iPhone or something like that. And then the larges are defined inside a 981 pixel or higher. So yeah, I've been fooling around with this. It actually works really well in i7, like i6 and up, because it just uses the standard YUI grid, but I kind of just redeclare it within media queries. And because there's a lot of duplication, it gzips up really well. And if you look at the gzip here, when I run grunt, I don't know if you guys, but it gzips to under 500 bytes right now, which is really small.
Right, because I was going to ask about like all the class names that you have to create, right?
Yeah, no, because there's a lot of repetition. It gzips really well. So I haven't been able to really break this yet, but the cool thing is you don't need to have like responsive and non-responsive. You can just have pure grid. On i6, 7, 8, these mediums and larges will never be called, so it just works off the smalls. And you can have more than 3, as you imagine, right? You can have like an extra large for like TVs, which is like 1600 px and up, and then you can control that in your HTML. So yeah, so what I've been kind of fooling around with.
Just having three different style sheets hooked onto media queries.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Why would you do this versus just having like 3 different style sheets based on 3 different media queries, right?
So the main difference is that here you're actually working off the grid, whereas before, if you want to do this, what you'd have to do is you'd have to say, oh, this is my. You have to give it another class name. You'd be like, oh, this is like my pricing table, and my pricing table has to. Your widths would be dependent on like some specific element name. Here, this is the lowest level. It's just a grid. So it's like you pull this in, and then you don't have to worry about. Does that make sense? Like you're not worrying about specific class names. It's just the grid that's doing all the work for you.
Right. I see. Cool. Plus, even though you're resizing it, it's not really what people will see. They'll either see one of the three sizes based on their device.
Yeah, exactly.
And
But it gives you finer grain control. So right now in YUI grids, if you want like a 2x2 in a tablet on an iPad, I don't know how you would do it. You'd have to do it like basically you have to stamp another class name and do it yourself.
Mhm.
So or customize the media queries. But this way you don't have to. You can. This gives you more flexibility.
How do you know what size to switch to? Like, how do you know what the dimensions are? Is it fixed, or can you change it?
So I think I'll just have like I don't know what I'm gonna show this to like maybe some other people to see if we can pull this into Pure. But assuming it goes forward, I think we'll have sane defaults. Maybe have more. I think we would have more than 2 media queries. We'd have some sane defaults, and then the grid builder is how you could tweak these the media query like width values.
Cool. That looks awesome. So this will be in 03 out?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I haven't got this like I haven't got this like code checked, or I haven't seen where it breaks or something. Anything.
It's O.X, right?
Sorry.
O.X.
Yeah.
As opposed to O master.
X.Y.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Elon.
Yep. No worries.
All right. The only thing I had left is just a quick go over of the outstanding stale pull requests. So I want to describe a little bit about the process that I've been going through lately for that. So if you go to Open Roundtable, you'll see under review, we've did up for grabs bugs, and then under that's the stale pull request list. And what that means is people have issued pull requests to our repo, and if the pull request is from an external contributor and it's over a week old, that's considered a stale pull request. And what we've been doing is contacting the people who are either potential owners for this or the people who are need to give comments or feedback. So I have, if you were to go look at that list right now, you'll see there's about 20 or so that are sort of fall into this category. And I'm going to quickly go over the numbers and describe for you what I've done today, which is contact people about these bugs, so that the pull requests, so we can get them addressed. Tony is going to be looking at 681, 596, and 587. These are data table related bugs from Satyam. 556 is from Eduardo, and he is this is about separate logic into insert button container. I basically emailed him to see where he's going to move forward with that one. Let's see. 778. I pinged the owner of that bug to see if they're still interested in moving forward with that. It's been a while since there's been any updates for it, so just checked in to see if they needed any help. 602 and 375 are also in that state where the owner is working on the pull request. It's just they haven't updated it for a while, so that's why it's kind of fallen into that category. 165 is a work in progress. There are a couple bugs that Pat has created that have become stale, which Derek is taking on, which are 826 and 837. And I've asked Eric to look into pull request 385 and 618. So all of the pull requests that are sort of falling into this stale category have either had the owner contacted, a potential owner contacted to give feedback, or they'll be updated in terms of being pulled in. So I think by next week this should be cut down quite a bit, and I'll keep on top of that type of thing. One thing I encourage you to do if you're in the community and you have a pull request and you'd like some feedback on it, to come to the Open Roundtable and we can discuss it in an open forum. So that's all I've got for that.
Cool.
And I think that rounds out the Open Roundtable issues, unless you had something.
No, I'm good.
You got anything?
That's it for me.
Cool. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Bye.